possiamo...
Okay, we can now begin our round table. Good morning everybody and welcome to this round table which focuses on Italian food culture, on the Italian gastronomy, an innovative tradition. I would like to welcome the Minister Maurizio Martina. I would like to welcome Francesco Paolo Fulci, Chairman of Ferrero Company. I'd like to welcome Oscar Farinetti, founder and chairman of Eataly. And I'd like to welcome Mario Guidi, chairman of the Italian Farmers Confederation. Now, in the world, the Mediterranean diet has become more and more popular. This means that Italy has been successful in producing, packaging, selling and distributing products that not only respond to food needs, but also that respond to the desires to eat something good and something beautiful, because food is not doesn't only mean eating something in quantity of something, but it is also representative of culture. And it seems like Italy can meet the need not only for food, but also the need for culture, for a culture of gastronomy, which the world is looking for. And this is exactly what we would like to talk about, because Italy certainly plays a unique role, a key role, and we must be very careful to remain competitive and to maintain the advantage we have. I would also like to stress as an introduction 3 main aspects. The first one is that more and more consumers follow a sort of food polytheism, that is, people who buy very expensive and delicate food, and then they buy fast food. So average customers actually prefer a mix of different things, of products which actually seem the opposite to each other. So in this kind of polytheism, we must struggle in order to maintain a primary position for Italian products. A second aspect is the aspect of distribution, because we have different kinds of distribution chains. We have short distribution, 0-kilometer distribution chain. Then there are long distribution chains with multinationals, large supermarket stores, etc., with marketing research, etc. While the short supply chain concerns 3% of products and the long supply chain concerns 97% of the products, we must ask ourselves how we can position ourselves on the market. The third aspect is consumption. I didn't know about that, but I learned that the European average is 3,300 euro per year per person, whereas Italy spends 5,000 euro per year per person. In France and in Germany, the average is more or less in line with the European average, whereas in Scandinavian countries, Northern Europe, the average expenditure is much lower, a bit in line with the United States. Now, this doesn't say a lot, because actually also in the United States there are consumers who look for luxury products. So the market is varied, and it is difficult to position ourselves on the market. But beside the problems we hear about, I would also like to say something positive. From 2010 to 2013, 51% of Italian companies increased their turnover. And the sector that increased the most was the food sector, with 71% of the companies. And this sector is the only one in Italy that has had also a domestic turnover increase, whereas other sectors had an increase only in foreign sales, whereas in Italy this is the only sector which has continued to grow. So now let's talk about production. Let's start from a representative of farmers. Mario Guidi owns a very large farming company in near Ferrara. He has recently been elected for the second time as chairman of the Italian Farmers Confederation, which groups 800,000 companies. Mario Guidi underlined the need to innovate production in the world of agriculture in Italy. And the first thing he said we should do is to connect companies to broadband in order to reach a wider audience. Now, Italian agriculture has a very long and established tradition. We produce raw materials from which we make our famed products. But this tradition is constantly changing. So my question to Mario Guidi is the following. How can the many small companies in the agricultural sector remain competitive? What should they change, and how can this change be sustainable? Oscar Farinetti is very lucky to speak after me, because he will have an advantage, because he will have more time to think about what to say. Now, this is a very stimulating question. First of all, I'd like to say that, as has already been stated, we are currently experiencing a paradox, because today we are talking about the central role of agriculture. Citizens are now well aware of the importance of good nutrition, of the environment. However, farming companies are experiencing a serious crisis in terms of income levels, which is actually the motor of the economy. So this means that we haven't probably been able to carry out the changes which are necessary and to make a qualitative leap forward. Now, the title today is how to combine tradition and innovation, and this is a paradox we need to overcome. All the positive elements which attract the attention of the international public on the quality of our products, on the know-how of Italian producers, actually cannot meet the demand for products. So we must be able to combine the concept of tradition with the ability to innovate, because we cannot win over the world only with quality, because consumers in the various phases of their lives need to receive a diversified, a varied range of products. And the Italian producers must be able to have such a diversified production range. We think we can conquer the world with products that are going to be extinct. We think we can win over the world with little innovative products. And this is a paradox which we need to overcome. Our agriculture is very peculiar. And I believe that
fa autocritica.
Our association should improve its way of working. I think we need to be able to change if we really want to be representative of our companies. So we made a mistake. That is to say that Italian agriculture is made of small and medium enterprises which need constant assistance, constant help, and we lobbied in order to maintain the status quo. And this is no longer possible because in the world we must be competitive and we must help these companies to grow. So for all the agricultural companies, even the one which work part-time, we need to provide support, we need to help these family-run companies, even companies which are involved in a secondary role in agriculture. So we must promote cooperation, we must promote associations of companies, we must address the activity of our companies towards the needs of the market. And this is something that can be done by focusing on market policies. Stability can only be achieved if we are able to orient our production towards the needs of the market, so without producing what the market really is looking for. So Italy can count on its tradition now. We have very good tomatoes, we have high quality mozzarella, we have high quality flour. But what is the real quality of Italian production? Is it all this, or maybe the genius which led us to invent pizza? I believe that genius lies in everything. Whereas we have a defensive view of agriculture, and this is a mistake. We are always on the defensive, that is, we continue to artificially support the system, and this is not good for the system, for the farmers. Now, I used to say that I don't feel like a panda. Now you know that pandas are almost extinct. They live in cages. Pandas are not destined to increase their population, and farmers should not be seen as pandas. So we should not only protect farmers, but farmers should become a driving force for the economy if we can transform our production. Now, if we were freed of all the obstacles, so we could do a lot more. Because the agriculture is an essential part of our life, because we produce food. This is something that will be needed by all human beings, and there are 600 million people around the world who have no access to food. So we must give our contribution, and I've been into farming for 3 generations. My family has been into farming for 3 generations. I work near Ferrero in Codigoro. We live in an environment that has been strongly changed by the human beings, with the dams and dikes being built around the Po River, and we will never be able to get back to the origins, to nature. I've been the first one to cultivate GMOs, and I produce organic products. And I don't feel like I'm in conflict with myself. I feel like I have explored all the possibilities that science offered. I do some innovating farming, which is the organic farming, which, unlike many people think, requires a lot of innovation. And for my daughter, I would like to create a future full of opportunities. And in order to do so, I think we need to get out of this logic of conflict, because that's what we need in agriculture. It's not a conflict between tradition and innovation, between small and big, because the world is not black or white, because there are shades of gray. And for me, for my daughter, for the future, I want to be able to grasp all the opportunities. I want to be able to produce at home, but also to export all around the world. I want to be able to pursue tradition in an innovative way. I want to pursue the future and to grasp all the opportunities in order to offer the same opportunities to the others. Because farmers are a very special category of entrepreneurs, as we collaborate with each other to feed everyone around the world.
Beh, mi sembra un grande coraggio, perché per fare ciò che...
Thank you for being so brave, because what you suggest requires a lot of mental flexibility. I don't know, maybe my partners should also follow this direction. I believe that actually agricultural world is not yet ready. Now let's move from production to processing. We have Ambassador Francesco Paolo Fulci, chairman of Ferrero. He has been an ambassador at the United Nations. So he knows the reputation Italy has in other countries. Now, the Ferrero company was created in 1942 in Alba by Pietro Ferrero, but the innovation was introduced by his son Michele, who created many of the products that we now know. In 1997, Giovanni and Pietro began to lead the company. Then Pietro died in a tragic accident in South Africa. Now Giovanni leads the company. Ferrero includes 63 consolidated companies, 20 establishments with a consolidated turnover of 8,000 million euro and a 5.6% growth in comparison to the previous year. 30,000 workers work for Ferrero, 5,000 of whom are external workers, so this is a very large company. The growth has been led by the development of new markets such as Asia, Russia, Argentina. Ferrero has also recently opened establishment in Turkey and Mexico. Now Ferrero has a very strong ability to innovate, because all the products that we know, that we eat, all share a common characteristic which today may be taken for granted, but which didn't exist before and which many others have tried to copy. So my question is, how can a company remain so innovative for a long time? Because innovation is very often only a buzzword which only lasts for a limited period of time. So how can Ferrero remain so innovative? Thank you, Mr. Scholz. First of all, I'd like to express my emotion for being here 20 years later, because I had been invited exactly 20 years ago at the meeting of Rimini when I was an ambassador at the United Nations, when I was waging a battle for Italy, because Italy ran the risk of being excluded from the UN Security Council, because some countries wanted to become permanent members of the UN Security Council, leaving Italy outside. We waged a strong battle and we were able to win that battle, and I'm very happy to say that this was also possible thanks to the support we received in Rimini on that occasion.
Sinceramente non...
Honestly, I would never imagine that after 44 years of diplomatic career I would begin another career. My dolce vita with Ferrero, a sweet life with Ferrero, with which I've been working for 15 years. So maybe I can now answer your question, Mr. Scholz. In a world market that has been increasingly globalized, the need to innovate has often been detrimental to quality and tradition, but Luckily, in Italy, thanks to the peculiar historical and geographical characteristic of our country, this need has actually strengthened made in Italy products, especially the food products. The peninsula and the presence of mountains, the history of Italy with the domination from foreign countries have allowed our country to develop a very rich tradition and diversified tradition with different tastes and products. Today it is only enough to travel for limited stretches and to find different products, different traditions which are closely related to the region and which respond to the needs of today's world. And all of these traditions have been able to innovate, and the need to adapt a product to contemporary needs but maintaining its original characteristics has been one of the main challenges for Italian production, and our company, in order to consolidate their role around the world, must be able to meet the needs of customers who have different habits, who are used to different tastes. And in order to do so, we must be able to exploit the characteristics which have made our products winning products, and to insist on high quality, innovation, freshness and safety. Luckily, statistics show that not even the serious financial crisis has affected the vitality of our food and agricultural sector, and this has been confirmed by the constant expansion of the Italian exports, which are doing much better than the rest of the country. Exports have increased by 83% in comparison to 46% of exports in the other sectors. In the 80s, only one company out of 5 was exporting its products abroad, whereas today 1 out of 2 companies exports abroad. And a lot of Italian brands have become legends around the world, such as wine, desserts, pasta, etc. And our friend Oscar Farinetti has been a champion of this Italian vitality. And it is in order to maintain this vitality that we need to be able to combine tradition and innovation, which are two complementary concepts, because they're both necessary to maintain the original characteristics of products. We must be able to innovate in terms of packaging, of distribution, in order to be able to sell products all around the world without these products losing their sensory characteristics, even if distribution time would be longer, and even if these products would be sold all around the world in different climates. Now, what about Ferrero? Well, Ferrero has an extraordinary capital, which is the mind of Michele Ferrero. Now, even if he's almost 90 years old, he's still able to come out with new ideas, with new products. It's really surprising to talk with him. Now, let's think about Grand Soleil, this liquid ice cream which you put inside the freezer and which after a few hours becomes an ice cream. Think about Nutella, a product that has become legendary, and it is known everywhere in the world. And everyone wants to have Nutella all around the world, in all the continents, at all latitudes. I must say that this is the secret of Ferrero: working, working, working. Being very serious, determined. So serious and determined, serious and determined. These are the keys for Ferrero, the secrets of Ferrero, and these are also the secrets for a successful life. Unfortunately, despite the difficulties due to the evolution of time and technology, Italian products are being attacked very seriously from the outside, in particular from Britain. So don't be surprised if a diplomat like me opens in such an open way, because this is exactly the same technique which I used at the United Nations in order to defend the rights of Italy. I always spoke out loud in order to defend the rights of our country without having any doubts, without having any fear. So what is the danger? In the mid-2013, the UK Health Ministry approved a system of labeling with traffic lights, which has been euphemistically defined as voluntary, and the idea was to give consumers an immediate idea on how much salt, sugar or fat is contained in products. So basically, if a product contains more than a certain quantity of the three ingredients, the ingredient in excess is marked in red, so that the consumer can immediately make a healthy choice. This is the motivation of the UK ministry. But this is a lie. This is an enormous imposture. Unfortunately, this system is such that the red label affects all the Italian products, from the Parma ham to Parmesan cheese, from Nutella to olive oil, from pasta to all sauces, and the risk is to have a hemorrhage of consumption of sales. A survey carried out among UK consumers shows that 30% of men and 40% of women no longer buy a product if it is marked in red, if it has at least one red label. This is a completely mistaken system, and as shown by other surveys, it doesn't help consumers to make healthy choices. According to the YouGov agency survey, 70% of the interviewees stated that they understand correctly the meaning of the labels, but then they respond in the false way to questions. They believe they will have a healthy diet if they only have products which are marked in green. In this way, they could eat simply only popcorn and avoid eating fish or essential foods such as olive oil, cheese, etc. Because Coca-Cola, has a green label, whereas the olive oil is sentenced negatively with a red label because it contains fat. Now, the inventors probably don't understand that olive oil is only a dressing, so you don't drink oil like Coke. This system also distorts the market, and as the Minister Martina knows, this is a huge violation of the regulations on competition in the European Union. And this is something that also the French and the Spanish governments have been supporting together with Italy, and they called for a process against the UK government for infringing EU regulations. And 18 member states out of 28 declared themselves against the system invented by the UK, and the infringement process seemed to be due to start before the parliamentary elections, but now everything is stuck. So hopefully the new Commissioner for Agriculture will be able to restart this infringement procedure, Also thanks to the lobbying of our Minister for Agriculture, of our Minister for Health. And Italian industry is grateful to the ministers for their work, and I would like to thank the minister, Maurizio Martina, who has been brave enough, who has been very courageous to speak openly against the system invented by the UK agencies. So thank you very much for your commitment.
Anche l'allora ministro del...
Also the Minister for EU Policy, Moaveri, former minister, stated very clearly that it was necessary to assess whether the initiative of the UK government can be seen as a sort of cartel to stop free competition, and which the UK government immediately supported. Indeed, 98% of the distribution chain in the UK supported this system. I would like to say that the choices made by the UK government are not driven by interest for the health of its citizens, but by the interest for its companies. It is clear indeed that despite the very low prices, there are some brands which are fake and which clearly cannot compete with Italian products because their quality is far more inferior. And the lobbies, these lobbies can use sweeteners instead of sugar to get the green label, or even use other artificial products to support natural salt. Then it doesn't matter if the the nutritional value of the product is very low, because the important thing is to remain within the limits established for salt, fats and sugars. So they're not able to sell their products simply because they're not good. So they convince the government to introduce this system, and they convince people that if they eat this junk food, they will be healthy. And so this is really an imposture. And it is unacceptable, and that is why I would like to plead to Oscar Farinetti to keep on defending good quality brands. Now, I was talking with the minister before the meeting, and unfortunately it seems like other countries from the Commonwealth may adopt this system: Canada, New Zealand, Australia, and also Ecuador and Chile. I would like to say that the vast majority of nutritionists maintain that there are no good or bad ingredients, but it is up to the diet, to the lifestyle. These are the key elements for a healthy lifestyle. And it is thanks to the Mediterranean diet that the obesity rate is one of the lowest in Europe. And the fact that the red labels in the UK affect the Italian products clearly show that this system has not been driven by the willingness to promote healthy nutrition, but simply to promote a protectionist system which is camouflaged under the excuse of promoting health. I believe that the Expo next year in Milan will also be an opportunity to promote Made in Italy around the world, but also to give back confidence to us, to Italy in general. I think that the Expo will be the ideal opportunity to show to the world our century-long, our tradition in food. So please, let's not waste this wonderful opportunity. Thank you very much for your attention.
Grazie, ambasciatore.
Thank you to the ambassador, to Mr. Fulci, for these very courageous statements. Then we will see how we can replace traffic lights with roundabouts at a European level. But first, let's talk about distribution. And the ambassador talked about the need for confidence, and an element which gives us confidence is the success of Eataly, which has been a huge distribution chain now. It began in 2007 in Turin. Eataly is now present in all the Italian cities, in Chicago, New York, Dubai. Now, Eataly means eating Italian food, living the Italian way, because indeed it is important to stress this aspect of eating and eating healthy and having a healthy lifestyle. So Eataly is trying to offer the best of Italian production to the whole world and to show that high quality can be accessible to everyone. So this is a sort of popularizing high quality products. First of all, I'd like to express my support for what the ambassador stated. I think we need to work very hard all together. We are planning to open a store in 1.5 years in London. Hopefully the problem will be solved earlier. But otherwise we will show the British that traffic lights are not always useful. You can also go ahead with roundabouts. Maybe we could have traffic lights, red labels for the English banks, which, as we know, have very negative policies. Now, I've been working in this sector only for 10 years, so I don't have a long experience, whereas agriculture has an extremely long tradition, 2,500 years. Now, so I only have a 10-year experience in this field, but I would like to tell you what my idea is. First, what is the reason why Italian products have a wonderful future? It all depends on the fact that Italy is the only peninsula in the world going from north to the south, and which is inside a good sea, an enclosed sea, and this is the only peninsula. So this leads to good winds from the sea meeting the good winds from the north, creating a microclimate that is wonderful. So, for instance, in Emilia-Romagna, in this region, there are more vegetable species than in the entire United Kingdom. That is why Italy has the largest biodiversity. This is our record. We have more vegetable species than all the other countries in the world. We have more animal species than all the other European countries. I also found out that we also have the largest human biodiversity in the world, and then we have artistic biodiversity. And the answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind.
Il motivo per cui la pasta buona si dice venga da...
The reason why good pasta comes from Gragnano near Naples is because people from Naples notice that in that area the fresh air coming from the Vesuvio volcano met the wind coming from the sea, led to the production of very good pasta, and also the fact that licorice is very good in Rossano Calabria also depends on the winds of the Calabria region. The marine wind in the Langhe area of Piedmont has led to the production of wonderful Nebbiolo wine. So these are all of our records. Now, we only account for 0.50% of the world surface. And yet we hold this record. We have 17 million hectares of which can be farmed, and we farm 14 million hectares. And around the world, it's 180 million hectares which are farmed with GMO products, and basically it's only 4 products. And looking at this data, we think we can be happy with that. Then when we look at our exports in the food and agriculture sector, we export 31 to 32% of our products, and we are happy about it. But then when we look at France, we realize that they export twice as much, or the Netherlands, Belgium, Germany, the same. And then we find out also that we export 30% of our production and we import 35%. So this means that we probably need to change things and we need to innovate. The first thing we need to do is in marketing, in the way we sell our products. We must take our excellent products and sell them around the world for what they represent. We only account for 0.50% of the world's surface and 0.33% of the world population. And outside there is 99% of the population who want to eat Italian food. Let's think about the difference of 2 products, one which has been sold abroad and another one which has not. Someone who begins to produce Parmigiano Reggiano or Grana Padano begins to work in the morning. Someone else selling, producing mozzarellas begin to work at 7. The one selling Parmigiano Reggiano, producing Parmigiano Reggiano, already sells. I'm sorry, the one producing mozzarella at 1 o'clock is already able to sell the mozzarella, and the one producing Parmigiano Reggiano only sells it days later and for a very cheap price. It is meaningless for a pasta package to cost less than $2. In New York it should cost $4.80. We need to completely change the marketing rationale. First, we must hugely increase the high quality products, the production of high quality products. Also fruits and vegetables, because we can sell them around the world. We must study the packaging, we must market them and then sell them around the world. Then we must also do something very important. We must distinguish, we must make these products distinguishable for the population around the world, because I think it is important to talk about the world population, about the 99% of the world population who want to buy our products. So we are lucky to live in this peninsula where we have a wonderful climate, and we must take our products and sell them around the world. But in order to sell them, we must tell them that they're Italian, and we have forgotten to tell people that these products are Italian, because around the world there are twice as many products that are imitations and that are sold around the world. So first we must tell our end customers that we're selling Italian products. So I think that the solution would be the single Italy brand. It is a very simple solution, and Ed would be very curious to see if the various lobbies in Italy would fight against it. They will find many different criticisms. I think we forgot to sell our products as Italian products, because everyone is using flags, etc. We must invent a brand representative of Italy, and let's use it to sell that this is the really Italian product. And maybe we can use wonderful testimonials such as Columbus, Michelangelo. They also cost very little. They're very well known around the world, and they cost very little, because abroad they will believe what Columbus says. The Americans will trust Columbus, because it is Columbus who discovered America. We should do the same that has been done with pure wool brands, etc. And I firmly believe that with such a marketing operation we will be able to double the average price of our products. We account for less than 0.50% of cultivated land. So our products should be seen as wonders that are produced thanks to the winds of our country. I would like to add that Tonino Guerra, who came from this region, he said that there was a man who was walking straight ahead, looking at the future and often looking back, because if he didn't look back, he was not able to find his way forward. And I believe that this is the key. Agriculture is the thing which allows us to combine tradition and innovation in the best way. For instance, let's consider the world of wine production. I believe it would be a strong innovation to eliminate herbicides. I think it would be innovative to eliminate chemical fertilizers and to use manure, to go back to traditional systems. This is, I believe, what we need to do, and this is exactly what we need to focus on. It seems like we are going to have the same minister for a number of years, whereas in the past year we've had the Minister for Agriculture change 6 times. So it seems like this minister will remain for several years, and this is the only way you can do something. I mean, if you remain in your role for a lot of years. So first of all, I would like to express my support for what Ambassador Fulci stated about what we need to do about the UK. Also, this is a problem we need to solve, also to teach a lesson to all the other countries. And I think we need to be able to innovate, to exaggerate a bit. Let's take decisions quickly. Also in the field of agriculture. And I fully agree with Mr. Guidi that the future lies in innovating, not in protecting agriculture, in leaving it as it is. I mean, okay, tradition is important, but we need to find new ways which must be valid both for small and large companies, because we need to preserve biodiversity also in the dimension of enterprises. And in Italy we also have the large companies such as Ferrero, which produce a lot of products, and also small enterprises. And it is not true that large companies are bad and small companies are good, because there are large companies producing wonderful things and small companies which are not so good. So I think we need to preserve this biodiversity and to insist on the quality of products. Thank you very much.
signor Ministro, con tutti sti venti in poppa abbiamo bisogno di un timoniere.
So, Minister, now I think we need someone to lead our boat. We've been talking about traffic lights, roundabouts, winds. Well, first of all, I would like to thank you for inviting me here. I'm really excited to be here and to discuss this topic. I agree with Oscar that we need to focus on the world. I always try to focus our job and to consider it in the framework of the world. I believe that based on what we have said now, I think we need to say that food issue is a huge educational challenge, and this is clear, apparent from the UK case. There are also some worrying statistics about Italian children concerning the increase of obesity, in particular in southern regions, where it is clear that the experience, the history, the quality of Italian food products clearly show that it is necessary to continue to support them, to promote them. In my role as Minister for Agriculture, which is an honor for me, because it is true that I have to deal with a lot of problems, but also that I have a lot of opportunities, I believe the agricultural and nutritional challenges are part of education. And Expo Milan in 2015 will be a huge opportunity for Italy from this point of view. That is, making Italian people aware of the huge potential of Italian agricultural production. I think we need to try to focus on what Italy can do in the future. Oscar is right to say that this country has an incredible history, is very good at telling the history and tradition of our country, of our peninsula. But I would like to talk about the diets. I use the plural, because I think talking of a Mediterranean diet would be diminishing, because we know that there are different traditions, different diets from the north to the south. There is a continental diet, and then there is the southern diet. And Italy is the only country which combined these two experiences, and that is how we created a formidable mix. Quality is not enough. I agree with that. In my experience as a minister, I realized that we have a formidable potential which we have yet to exploit, and I got aware that the weak point is the production, the producers. It is enough to look at statistics. In Italy, agricultural income is 25% lower than in the other countries. It is true there is a chain of value, production and distribution, except production, process, manufacturing and distribution. The fact is that we produce little. This is a problem, because clearly if we want to make if we want to encourage to embrace the farming job, then of course we need to give them a good income, and the problem is that we cannot convince young people to become farmers because very often they don't earn enough. I believe that there are opportunities to bring about a radical change. First of all, if we recognize that production, manufacturing and distribution should work together. They cannot live separately from each other. Alone we cannot be successful in the world. And so I believe it is important to have a team spirit and to go beyond differences of opinion and to have a common project. Now, I realize that the various categories tried to defend themselves and they had some quarrels with the others. I believe that considering the world scenario, we need to become aware that the situation has changed dramatically and that we need to collaborate together. Let's think about the UK initiative. I can guarantee you that I will continue to fight for this, because the infringement procedure at the EU should continue, because the system which was invented in the UK is completely wrong. However, I'd like to say that that experience clearly shows that we can do everything alone. So I think we need to promote team spirit. And I would like to ask you, what are you willing to do in order to benefit the whole system? I can do my best in order to promote a public initiative to support this change. So I think we need to promote our common points. I think we need to overcome our organizational difficulties. I think the problem is not that we have small and large companies. I think we have to combine short and long supply chains. I mean, there are small enterprises which have become large producers, such as the apple producers of Trentino, the region in the north. So basically they have remained small because the family continues to own that land, and yet they've been able to create consortia and to sell around the world their products. So first we need to be able to unite our efforts, our strengths. We must create networks of enterprises, partnerships, etc. And as long as we are not able to guarantee a higher income, then of course farming will not be attractive for young generations. In my 5 months as Minister for Agriculture, we have promoted an initiative for young farmers, and my goal is to bring about a change in agriculture if we have younger farmers. In Italy, only 5% of farmers are younger than 35, and in France, 8%. In northern countries, it's 10%. And actually, the farms which are run by young people are the ones which are also the most productive ones, because they are more ready to innovation, because they are ready to experiment. The best companies we have from north to the south are actually companies that are run by young people, and I invite you to go and visit them, and if you can, tell their stories, because that's exactly what we're trying to promote. In 2013, Italy created 12,000 startups in the food and agricultural sector. It's not enough, because I believe we can do a lot more. In 2015, we should be able to have twice as many startups per year. And in order to do so, we clearly need to make farming an attractive profession. And we should also work in such a way not to just provide support to agriculture because there is the crisis. Because you can't find another job, then you start to work as a farmer. No, this is not the right logic. I want this sector to become a driving sector for the Italian economy. Around the world, there will be 800 million people who will move from the low class to the middle class. So in China, India, other countries, these people will begin to be ready to spend more to have higher quality products. And that is a perfect market for Italy. That's where we can find a lot of opportunities, where we can find development opportunities. I agree with Oscar. And the government in the next weeks will continue to work on the issue of exporting our products. We will continue to build systems to represent Italian products around the world. A single system to represent Italian products around the world. And this should not be detrimental to the diversity of our production. But this is a way to promote the diversity of our production, because the asparagus, the tomato are wonderful in Italy, but we need to market these products as Italian, because we often take it for granted that everyone around the world knows what Italy is about and where Italy is. But not everyone knows where Italy is, and not everyone knows that Italy can produce the best asparagus or the best tomato, etc. So I think we need to coordinate our initiatives, our efforts, and to build brands, symbols. Then of course we need to do other things. For instance, we need to continue to fight against fake Italian products. So we need to fight against these fakes. And this is something we will continue to we need to continue to do. And there is a strong contrast between Italy and the United States about the EU-US trade agreement, because indeed Italy wants to defend typical geographical indications because they are very important as being indicative of the origin of our products, whereas in other countries insist on the brand. So we must continue to fight against Italian sounding, to fight against fakes. But clearly, if we are able to take fake Italian products out of the market, then of course we need to fill in this void with the original Italian products. And how can we have original Italian products? Well, we need to promote logistics, to promote better distribution chains. We must be aware that we need to improve our organization in order to supply our products everywhere in the world. I've recently met a producer who told me that he had traveled to the United States, and after a few weeks he opened negotiations with the distribution chain for buffalo mozzarella, and after a number of meetings they agreed on some quantities, and when he came back he realized that he didn't have enough producers. I mean, that he was not able to do it alone, that he needed to network with other producers. I think that Italians are very creative, and we can be very effective when going abroad and trying to sell our products, but we also need to be strong and to be larger. That doesn't mean that we need to abandon our traditional system of production, but that we must try to change things at an organizational level. We must change, and I think we have opportunities. Of course, I know that there are problems, and that despite the problems, the difficulties, we need to focus on the positive aspects. That is, the ones who study agriculture at university immediately find a job, and 85–90% of them graduate in agrarian science and immediately find a job, unlike the ones who study law. So that means that agriculture is indeed a strength for Italy. And I think this round table is also an opportunity to talk about what we can do together, how we can pool resources. This is how I see my role as a Minister for Agriculture. I'm not I think that the Minister for Agriculture should not only protect the interests of producers, of farmers, but I think that my role is also to open opportunities in order to open world markets to Italian producers, and this is what we need to do in the next months, hopefully years, if the government stays in office.
Il Ministro Martina ha detto che è una questione educativa, una domanda alla quale chiedo a ognuno.
The Minister stated that we need to address this educational challenge. Very quickly, can you tell us what the producers can change? How can they, what kind of change should they bring about? I gave my child Nutella without my mother and pediatrician knowing about it, because I think that a child can grow up better if they eat Nutella. I think producers just have to take up the challenge. They must take up the challenge of market, competing on the market. We have discussed about the need to increase the quantity of orange juice in spirits. I think we fought for our agricultural system, but we made it in the wrong way, because we should not fight for our future with protectionist measures, but we must be able to fight with our own means in order to create a better future for us. And I think that politics are now should also go in the right direction, because protectionist measures are not good, and the Minister, Maurizio Martina, is the only one who has introduced some innovative elements, and not only protectionist elements. such as the idea of giving permanent jobs in the agricultural sector. These are tools that we need to know better, but I believe they can be helpful in order to make this qualitative leap forward. Mr. Ambassador, what about the manufacturers? Well, the minister mentioned a very serious problem, the one of child obesity. I've talked with dozens of nutritionists, and all nutritionists say that in order to have a healthy life, you have to do three things. First, eat everything, have a varied diet. Then eat moderately, because today we spend much less energy than our ancestors, and then do physical activity. If we do the three things, then we can have a healthy life. I mean, people sometimes accuse Nutella of being unhealthy. Children don't get fat because they eat Nutella. I mean, there are 3 generations of people who grew up eating Nutella, and they have a wonderful attire, a wonderful silhouette. The problem is when children sit on the couch in front of TV or video games without running outside. They play with those video games and in my opinion it is important for them to go outside to do some physical activity. If they follow these rules, they will have a healthier and longer life. It is it is useless to demonize some kinds of products, because very often this is only done for commercial interests, and we must be brave enough to always fight against it, speaking out loudly against it. Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. Oscar Farinetti, what about the relationship between producers and distributors? Well, tradesmen are between the producers and the consumers, and this is an advantage because we have very good visibility, so we have to be very loyal when telling producers what consumers want, and we must be very loyal when telling consumers about the wonders of producers. When I'm asked about giving suggestions on how to solve problems for agriculture, well, actually my only recommendation is to get up, to stand up and get back to work. Because I believe that in Italy there aren't enough people who want to dream about founding their own companies, their own enterprises. So I think we need to dream also, and to be brave enough. Minister, what about the citizens? I think that citizens should be given a message that is believing that this country has wonderful opportunities, not only bad luck or problems. I think we need to create this change in mentality. We have some strengths that we need to exploit. This is our primary challenge. The challenge is also a political challenge. I think the political world should be involved in this in order to promote a change in mentality, in order to understand the power of agriculture, which can bridge the gap between rich and poor, between north and south. So I think this is what we need to do, to have an open debate without hiding the weaknesses of Italy, without overlooking our problems, but also looking at the huge opportunities which Italy has. I think we need to help each other. I mean, the government cannot bring about a revolution on its own, but it's also the private sector that needs to be supported by the public sector and to bring about this revolution. I think that the countries which have been successful because they have been able to combine the strengths of the public and of the private sector. Thank you very much. Thank you for participating. I believe that it is important to say that change cannot be delegated to someone else, because the topics we have discussed concern all of us. Now, I think that all of you are involved in this, not only as producers, manufacturers, distributors, but also as citizens, as consumers. And I think that if we want to bring about change, each of us must do their own part. Thank you.